Welcome back to this Facts Over Feelings segment here on the 980s podcast station. And I want to talk about something that's powerful and should be accessible for everyone. So in this Facts Over Feelings segment, we're talking about estate planning, but not in the way you've heard about it before. This isn't about death. This is about control. This is about access and what happens when life hits you in the face. Because you know what? Life hits us all in the face. We just need to be prepared for it. So in this Facts Over Feelings segment, we're talking about how to make sure, not if, but when it hits you in the face, you should be ready. Without further ado, come on in. Come on in, and I'm going to say this. I'm getting a lot of heat, especially on LinkedIn, about estate planning. I get a lot of heat. And every time I talk about estate planning, every time I mention technology, every time I bring up platforms like wealth.com, attorneys come out of the woodwork. And it's the same response every single time. Unauthorized practice of law. This is dangerous. This shouldn't be happening. And listen, trust me, I get it. I really do. There's a line. There should be a line, and that line should never be crossed. But let me be very clear about something. I don't practice law. I've never practiced law. And I'm not even pretending to practice law. What I am doing is giving people access. Yes, giving people access to tools, access to structure, access to something they otherwise wouldn't have. Because here is the reality. A large portion of Americans have been materially priced out of estate planning. So when technology comes down and lowers the price, lowers the barrier to entry, that's not a threat, that's an opportunity. So don't take offense. Don't take it the wrong way. It's about access. So let's talk about the real problem that no one's talking about. I want to shift the conversation because most people are focused on the wrong thing. Everyone wants to talk about wills. Everyone wants to talk about trust, but that's not even the real issue here. The real issue is what's happening while you're still alive. Let me say it again. Estate planning is not just about death. It's about life. Because when something happens to you, and it will, hospitalization, incapacity, cognitive decline, what's your move? Do you have access to the accounts? Can you pay the bills? Can you make medical decisions on behalf of that individual? Or are you sitting there locked out while everything falls apart? Why? Because I'm living it. That's where the real documents come into play. Durable power of attorney, medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney. These are documents that actually do something. These are documents that allow you to step in when someone can't. And yet, most people don't have them, or worse, they think they have something in place and either it's outdated, incomplete, or inaccessible. I've seen this firsthand. I'm living it. Even though my parents have a trust in place, there's other things over the top that need to be done. Parents with no login information. You got to get the login credentials. No documentation, no clarity. And when something happens, it becomes chaos. I can't say this loudly enough. It's time for each and every one of us to, especially us in the Gen Zs, during the sandwich generation, to truly start looking at our parents and making sure that their stuff is taken care of. Because, again, it's not if, it's when. It's not if, it's when. And let's just look at the stats for a moment. Here are the facts. Depending on any study that you look at, roughly 60 to 70% of Americans do not have a will in place. A trust, even less. Let that sink in. The majority of this country has no formal plan, no structure, no directives, no direction. And we're sitting here debating whether access should be expanded. We're sitting here having a conversation on why someone shouldn't say something or why someone shouldn't help because you don't have the authority to do so. That's the wrong fight. We're having the wrong fight because clearly the traditional system alone isn't solving the problem. You put something in place, next thing you know, you've had it for 30, 40 years, and guess what? That attorney passes away. Where are you going to find the information? It was with the attorney, perhaps, or we don't know where the will or trust actually is. But what's happening today, well, you know what? I don't want to overstep that. I just want to say, Max, let's go there. So what's happening now, technology is stepping in. Advisors are stepping in. Platforms like I said, we're using wealth.com are stepping in, and together they're filling a gap. Not replacing attorneys, not eliminating complexity, but addressing the mass market that has been ignored for decades. Understand that. This is not a fight we're trying to have with attorneys or anyone else out there. We're trying to get a mass addressable market to have access to something that they have been materially pushed away from because of cost. So I'm saying that to say this. Think about the opportunities. Think about having the access to have something online on a platform, signed, sealed, delivered in a vault, somewhere online where I'm not going through boxes in the attic trying to find an old, dusty, outdated trust or outdated will that no longer applies. It's the power of that. And on top of that, the ease of restatement. I just restated my trust because of some language in the Texas code. And it took me less than an hour to do so. And guess what? Since it's through my firm, it's not costing me anything. Well, it's costing me the quarterly fees on the platform, which are, again, we offer that to our clients. But it is a beautiful thing to be able to do that with that level of ease, to go get it notarized and to go get things taken care of without having to go down, get on someone's calendar and having to basically beat my head over a drum trying to figure out how much they're charging me by the hour just to restate this trust. This shouldn't be a turf war. Here's where I'm going to push back a bit. This should be not a battle between professionals. This shouldn't be advisors versus attorneys, technologies versus tradition. That's lazy thinking. Stop thinking that way. Because the reality is both sides are needed. There are absolutely situations where you need full-blown estate attorneys, complex estates, business ownership, tax structuring. No question about it. But that's not the 90% of the population. For most people, they need something simple, something accessible, something they can actually implement. And instead of fighting that, we should be embracing it, collaborating, building better systems together. So, in closing, because I get a little heated about this, let me leave you with this. Stop thinking about estate planning as what happens when I die. Start thinking about it as what happens if I can't act. Because that's where the real risk is. That's where families get stuck. That's where stress turns into financial and emotional disaster. This isn't about documents sitting in a drawer. This is about real world functionality. This is about making sure when life happens, you're ready, not if, but when. Thank you for listening to Facts Over Feelings. Subscribe to the channel. And again, access matters more than ego. If you want help getting started or understanding what you actually need in place, reach out. Let's make sure you're covered, not just for the end, but for everything in between. Thank you guys. Stay home, stay safe. See you again soon.